Hey guys, so we were going to film a video together. Hugh and I were going to film a video together, but he has been caught up with some business meetings, and of course the type of video that we want to film, we have to film it while Yule is at daycare, so there's a limited amount of time that we can actually film, and he's not going to be back home in time to film that video. So I thought I would do a video just by myself, and this is something I've been meaning to talk about for a while. It is hard to talk about. It's really hard to talk about these things, but I will give it a go now. So a lot of you might know that I have endometriosis. I also have chronic fatigue syndrome, which I have had since I was 16. Back when I was 16, it was a lot worse than how it is now, but it still affects my day-to-day life now. I actually didn't get endometriosis until I was about 30. I possibly had it before, but because I was on birth control, then I was on birth control for my skin, it might have just suppressed it anyway. I remember having my beautician that would do my skin and that be like, oh, I want you to get off birth control, you know, you hear all this stuff like, oh, you should get off birth control, be healthy, you know, that type of thing. Yeah, getting off birth control actually is what caused my endometriosis to suddenly be like, yay, we're not being suppressed anymore, we're going to grow cysts on your ovaries, we're going to mess up your life hardcore. So if you are on birth control and you feel like that is the right thing for you, do not listen to people that are like, oh, just be healthy and natural and be off birth control. Birth control does wonders for women. Stop telling them they shouldn't be on it if they are on it for something that is vital for their health. Going off my birth control and then having my endometriosis be like, haha, we're here, then went on to cause my infertility problems. I had to have big cyst removal. I had a very, very difficult time where I would be in bed for days with pain. It is not, it is not fun. But then actually getting pregnant through IVF, pregnancy is a little bit of a break from endometriosis. It is not a cure for endometriosis. Do not listen to any doctor that tries to tell you that. It just suppresses the symptoms while you're pregnant, but while you're pregnant you have all these other symptoms as well. And while I was pregnant, I felt like my chronic fatigue syndrome wasn't as bad, but also I am so used to managing pain and tiredness anyway that I feel like, you know, it was probably still there, but you're just used to it. So I think a lot of this video is just about me being like, how do I balance being a working mom and having two chronic illnesses? I have no choice and I'm just used to it. I am also very lucky to have a very supportive husband and my family. So there's a lot of ways that I feel very privileged, and not everybody has that support. So my endometriosis now, after being pregnant, I'm on some medication for that. It's like a birth control. I think it's probably one of the sort of strongest ones that you can be on, so I will have some pain sometimes, but nowhere near as bad before. So that is how I'm managing that pain while being a mother as well, because of course if I had that same pain where I was completely bedridden, it is very hard to be a mother if you can't get out of bed, right? And perhaps in the future I am going to be in a situation like that, and that is quite worrying and not something I want to think about too much. So back before I met Hugh, I was actually on the disability pension in Australia for chronic fatigue syndrome, and unfortunately with a more right-wing government being in for a few years, I don't think that's available to people anymore. People who have chronic fatigue syndrome I don't think can go on the disability pension now, which is very, very sad. That was a lifeline for me. I was able to go back to school, I was able to do some things that I wanted to do some courses, I was able to live because I had some money coming in, but the whole system is so horrible for people on the disability pension, or people that can't even get on it now. So it's even worse in Australia right now. I don't want to go too far into that, but when you have a chronic illness, you carry guilt with you all the time. You carry guilt because you feel like you are not a full functioning giving adult in society, and people will tell you that all the time, that you know that you're leeching off the government, you know, all that type of horrible stuff. And so when I did get chronic fatigue syndrome around the age 16, 17, the thing that I did try to do to try and make money was to do art. So I worked as an artist, and I did sell quite a lot of paintings, but of course the thing with art is you're either a starving artist or maybe you're a very wealthy artist if you have been born into the right family or have the right type of luck. So I was able to make some money that way, but of course still living with my parents. Meeting Hugh really helped me have a better quality of life. Also, my CFS, my chronic fatigue syndrome, was not too bad at that point, and meeting him and being married to him has given me many things that maybe I would not be able to have. So many things have happened in a really positive way that I feel very lucky about, but having chronic illnesses, you feel guilt all the time. So one of my motivations in life of doing so many things that I do, of like, you know, blog and YouTube and writing, and I do radio and that, is because of that constant guilt that you have when you are somebody that suffers from chronic illnesses. You have to push yourself so much harder, and you have to prove yourself so much more. And trying to manage the guilt while being a working mother is even harder, because you now have guilt. If you are working, you feel guilty. If you're not working and you're spending that time with your child, you still feel guilty because you're not doing these other things that you should be doing as well. So that's the very sort of negative side, and I don't want this video to be totally negative and poor me, I'm sick in these ways, because I'm very thankful and lucky. I'm very lucky that my conditions are not as bad as they could be, and there's a lot of people in way worse conditions than me, and there's a lot of people that don't even know what's wrong with them, and they're trying to find that out, and they're in pain every single day, and they're bedridden every single day. So I am so grateful that that's not my situation. I have pain sometimes, like right now I have a little bit of twinging pain, like endo pain, but it is fine. It's nothing like how it was before. I have some days where I have to sleep a lot more because it's my CFS, and it's a different type of tiredness from being a parent. And I just want to say to parents, if you're a parent and then maybe somebody else is complaining that they're tired, you don't know, they might have a chronic illness or something, but please don't be that person that turns around and says, you don't know what it's like to be tired unless you've had kids, blah, 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 blah. People without kids know what tiredness is. And, you know, maybe they don't have to look after a child as well, and maybe like there's a difference there, but if somebody has a chronic illness and they are literally bedridden, that is a worse situation than just being tired because you've got a toddler. And I know both situations, so I just want to say that there is a difference between chronic illness tiredness and just normal parenting tiredness. Just normal parenting tiredness I can push through and I can manage, and you have that sort of motivation, I've got to look after this kid, but chronic illness tiredness is a different thing. So the times that I really need a break, and this morning I slept in a little bit later, and Yule was just in with Hugh because I just needed that extra hour so I could function today. So for me it's about managing that. I'm tired every day all the time, so I do need to rely on my husband Hugh a lot to manage my CFS tiredness, and I do feel like it is sometimes getting worse, and I do think there is a CFS specialist at my hospital. Like, so my endo doctor at my hospital is very good. So I am considering going to see the CFS doctor to see if there's any like new research or anything more with that. I actually haven't explained about that too much, because when you have a chronic illness you get really sick of having to explain to people what it is, and then if you just done a big explanation of what CFS is and people are like, so you're tired, and you're like, that's not what I said at all. There's so many symptoms that come with it, with pain and all this other stuff. So I haven't gone exactly into detail of what CFS is or what endo is, because you're on the internet right now, and if you want to find out more you can find out more. And please, when you do meet somebody with a chronic illness, don't expect them to explain everything all the time, because you might be the 100th person they've had to, and if their tiredness levels, their energy levels are already down here, you are just sucking more from them. And I feel that a lot. Having CFS and then also being an introvert, I always feel like my energy levels are just being drained so much all the time. How to balance that with being a parent of a toddler? Well, he does go to daycare, and Korean daycares are very, very good, like a very small daycare. His teachers are really lovely. He loves going to daycare. Daycare also teaches him a lot of things that I can't as an Australian mother, because I don't know the Korean culture of things that you teach little kids, like movements they do, and you know, they do all these like guru 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 jem 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 saranghayo things that I don't naturally instinctively know to teach him, and then all the socializing and everything like that. Daycare is a wonderful resource if it's a good daycare for not only people like parents that have chronic illnesses, but just parents in general. So I don't feel guilty about him going to daycare. It is a wonderful thing in our lives, and it allows me to get some work done, and it allows him to socialize and to learn lots of things as well. And it also gives me the chance to recharge my batteries, because I am dealing with 2 illnesses. But if you follow us, you would have noticed that I don't do many comics these days. It's not because I don't want to. It is a little bit like there's some reasons for that. I don't have the motivation and energy as much these days, and drawing is physically taxing. Our video output is still relatively the same because editing is not as taxing on me, but actual physically drawing on my tablet actually can make my body very, very tired. And since my CFS is getting a little bit worse in recent months, it's been very hard for me to do that. So our second My Korean Husband comic book is supposed to be coming out in Korea, and a lot of that is done, but there's still a lot of things that I have to do, and it's just been put on hold because we're trying to make money in other ways and do other things. Also, my editor has a young child as well, so we're just waiting to see when the time happens that you can do that. I also feel like the past, 2 years or so, Yule is almost 2, so much of it feels like a blur. Like there's so many positive, wonderful, amazing things. Like we're so thankful to be able to have Yule, because we didn't know if we would be able to have children or not. We were told we might not be able to have children. So I always try to keep that positivity and that thankfulness that we have him, even when things are hard, even when I am feeling really sick. I think one of the things that we can take as a positive of going through infertility and coming to terms with maybe that we won't have a child, that we are so grateful that we have him. So when things are very difficult, or when I'm just so tired and frustrated, I still remember to be grateful for things that I have in my life. I am so grateful to Hugh. I'm so grateful to my family and his family as well, because if I didn't have that support network, things would be very, very bad for me. Like I said, so in Australia you can't go on the disability pension for chronic fatigue syndrome anymore. I'm not sure about endometriosis. People don't have that lifeline anymore. They force people to go on the New Start one, where they're supposed to be looking for jobs and that. I can't have a normal job with the conditions that I have. I can't do a normal 9 to 5, 9 to 6 type job, because after a little while my body will be in so much pain. I will be stuck in bed for weeks. I can't push my body like that. That is why I've always tried to do things that are freelance. So the comics and the blog and YouTube, and I do radio, and I've done other things like speeches and lots of little freelance things like that is how I work, because I can manage my time like that. But of course, having a chronic illness, you carry the guilt with you all the time that you are defect in some way, and that you are not participating in society, you're not putting into society the same way that other people are. So you push yourself so much when you have chronic illnesses, because you feel like you have to prove yourself all the time, and you carry the things that people have said. Often they don't realize how that has hurt you, but being told to just push through the tiredness, or this is not too bad, or just deal with the pain. A lot of people find with chronic illnesses that their pain has been, people try to diminish it in some way. And I remember seeing a quote of someone being like, it's not that we're pretending to be sick because we want attention, it's like we're pretending to be well. We're trying to be fully functioning adults in society, and we're hiding our illness. And I find that a lot because I appear to be a healthy, no problem, healthy person, but actually it is hiding a lot of chronic things that are wrong with me. But then at the same time, I know so many people that have it way, way worse than me and are suffering way more than me. So then I feel guilty if I complain about that as well. I also just feel frustration of not being able to always do the projects that I want to do or see the people that I want to see. Often there's times when I can't actually go out because my body's just like, nope, not today. And my very close friends understand that, and they will make the time. So for example, one of my best friends, Sarah Hoju Sada, she will take the time to come to me or come somewhere that is easy for me to go to. Especially sometimes I have to bring Yule with me as well. The things that is the same of being a mum and then also having a chronic illness is that it can be hard to get to places, and you do need friends to be supportive and often come to you. So I have that combined of that. I can be very sick and tired and not be able to go somewhere, and then also I have a toddler, so it's hard for me to go somewhere. So I do find that other friendships can fade away a bit, and I do find that besides from Sarah, my other friends are mum friends, because they can understand as well, because it is hard getting around with a kid, and I'm not really as open and honest about my illnesses, so I guess part of that is my fault that I don't always explain to people about why things might be difficult for me. But also when you become a mum, you find some distance with some people because they don't have kids, they can't understand what your life is like. But at the same time, there's people that do really understand what your life is like that don't have kids. Maybe it just comes down to, the person and how close you are and how understanding they are. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section. If you have chronic illness or if you have kids, how you find your friendships changing and what things you think people can do to be a good friend to you. I also wanted to make this video to just give a place for people to talk about, that having a chronic illness themselves. Like I said, I feel guilty a lot of the time for not doing everything that I wish I could be doing, but then also feel guilty because my illnesses aren't the same level that other people's are. I know people are going to be like, don't feel guilty in the comment section, but that's just how things are, and feeling guilty has motivated me so much to do so much in my life. Hugh and I have done so much and achieved so much that maybe I never would have achieved if I had a normal, healthy body that didn't have any problems. So I'm going to take this as a positive, that I'm always trying to move forward and do things, and it's just finding the right balance. I think I found a decent balance between working and being a mum at the moment, but like I said, a lot of other things suffer. So I do radio and we do videos and we do some other work stuff as well. I've had to drop back on doing art, comics has been the thing that has suffered. But we have a wonderful little boy and we have lots of great family time together, and we're doing so much stuff. So that is the balance that I'm trying to find now. And that balance will shift, as time goes by, and there's lots of other things that I want to do. And Yule is a very happy, lovely little boy. So I'm not gonna have the mum guilt. I feel like I'm so consumed with the chronic illness guilt that I actually don't feel too much mum guilt of how I parent or how I do things. You know, mums get shamed and have so much guilt all the time. I'm not gonna take that on. I'm gonna let that guilt go, and I will just have the chronic illness guilt. Speaking of which, I need to go pick him up from daycare, and yeah, I didn't really have like a great plan for this video. I was just having a chat with you guys. If you'd like me to talk more about it, then I can, because there's probably so many things I wanted to say but I forgot to in this video. So leave some questions and comments below, and we can maybe have a chat again sometime about these topics. So subscribe if you haven't already. Sometimes, just sometimes, there's comics on the blog that you can check out. You can also hear me if you're in Korea, but it's actually like on podcast sites as well. On TBS EFM, Real Mum Real Talk, I'm on that show in a segment, so you can hear me talk about more mum stuff on there if you want to check that one out. And I will see you later. Bye bye.